Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's Solution Spotlight. I am just so excited to have Nancy with us today. So we'll get started in about a minute, just giving everybody some time to come in. But before we really jump in, Nancy and I were just talking about how involved she's been since the beginning of XYPN, if not before. Nancy, did you say that you were mentoring Alan
Well,
or
Alan came through my training when he had his solo RIA before he launched XY Planning Network. So yeah, I've known him a long time. He was a baby. He was,
I know.
I don't mean that. No, I mean he was young. He was young and he
Mhm.
got things going. So he was
No,
impressive.
I'm laughing because every time that we see some of his headshots on articles that pop up every now and then, they'll use his old headshot from when he had his RIA. So drastically young. It's so funny
I know
to
he was
laugh
like
at every time.
24. He was young. He was young.
Yeah,
And look at him now. Like, yeah,
I
it's
know.
yeah, now I'm like in awe of him. I'm like, I introduced my daughter to him at the conference last year. She came and helped work my table with me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's even older than he was when he got started. It's so weird.
Yeah, that's wild. If I think about that. Yep. What an accomplished person just at 24, 25. Hmm. I
Yeah.
am lucky to be here in his
Yeah.
in his way. Cool. Well, we are at 102, so I am going to just get started. Welcome everybody again to today's Solution Spotlight. Ditch the pitch, mastering genuine conversations to hit sales goals with Nancy Bleeke Noël. She has an MBA with Sales Pro Insider. Excuse me. At XYPN, we aim to empower financial advisors to start, run, and grow the fee-only RIA of their dreams by providing comprehensive solutions tailored to their needs. Nancy Bleeke Noël has empowered thousands of financial professionals to boost their conversion rates by over 50% in 12 weeks. Her commitment to genuine service-oriented selling aligns perfectly with XYPN's mission to support advisors in building thriving, client-focused practices. I mean, as you can see, she's been with us since the beginning. So just amazing commitment there and really great. So whether you're a newer advisor or looking to refine your sales strategy currently, Nancy's guidance ensures that you achieve substantial ROI and confidently grow your business. So let's meet Nancy. In 1998, Nancy left the comfort of a regular job to launch Sales Pro Insider. While she's always been entrepreneurial, finding a passion in sales was never really the plan. Who would ever want to be in sales? So she thought. So, yet, she found her calling helping people who also never saw themselves in sales succeed in selling. With a focus on making conversations productive for everyone involved, her genuine branded training modules guide advisors to fill their funnel, convert prospects efficiently, and retain loyal clients with a comfortable collaborative approach.
Mhm.
Thousands of financial professionals have increased their skills, processes, and confidence in selling, leading to increased conversion rates, sometimes by more than 50% in 12 short weeks.
Mhm.
And that was achieved with proven best practices, systems, tools, and accountability. So, Sales Pro Insider has guided many advisors in their selling efforts while encouraging them to remain genuine and service focused. And she especially enjoys working alongside the smaller guys to ensure they receive a healthy ROI on their investment in equipping their businesses to succeed. And after raising three children in Wisconsin, Nancy has relocated to Florida, chasing that good weather and as much active time outdoors as possible. So, just a few more housekeeping items before I turn it over to Nancy. There is the chat tab and the Q&A tab below. You can please drop your questions in the tab if you want to contribute to the conversation, then use the chat. But if you drop them in the Q&A tab, you can upvote questions as appropriate. But again, do drop your questions as they come up. We'll be answering them at the end of the session. And then just some upcoming events. We have an event September 11th, Understanding 403(b) plans, how to support educator clients in navigating retirement plan options worth 1 CE credit. And then September 25th, we have a Learn to Launch office hours with R XYPN success strategist. And last but not least, we are having XYPN live in less than 2 months. Wild. October 15th to the 17th, it's in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Tickets are $599 for XYPN members, $799 for non-members, and there is a special offer today through August 30th. I'll drop a code in the chat, but deal is $100 off either non-member or member passes. And Nancy is going to be at XYPN Live hosting a pre-con and a content session, so you can see her live at
Mhm.
Live. All right, that was a lot from me. I am going to go off camera. Nancy, take it away.
Thanks, Sarah. Hello, everybody. As Sarah said, I'm so excited to be here. I really have a strong passion for supporting what you're doing. As a recipient of fee-only planning for over 30 years, personally, I understand the value of it, and I consider my role is helping you get out of your own way so that more people can make the decision to work with you. Because often the thing that's in the way for people making that decision is the advisor, in many different ways. And we're going to talk about how to remove some of those things. So with everything that Sarah said, that's all the, the technical stuff. But, I also am, a person who loves nature, etc. But what I'm really excited about is I wrote what I call my love letter to advisor book, and it'll be coming out in October. Conversations that sell for financial advisors. And so very excited that will take what I'm sharing with you today and really lay out the playbook, the how-tos for guiding that conversation. So looking forward to that. Now, here's the thing is, we're going to be talking about sales, and Sarah was telling me how it's still one of the things that so many advisors have as a challenge for themselves. And how do I get growth? How do I, get more clients? How do I get to help more people? How do I get to increase not only the revenue for my business, but my personal income? Because even if you are an altruistic person who just loves to help people, you got to be able to support yourself and, if you have a family. So let's start, and we can make this as interactive as you're willing to use your fingers on the chat. So I want to know, put in the chat, what is your reaction when you hear the name or the words sales rep or salesperson, or that you're going to be having a sales meeting? What are the words that come to mind? Oh man, Billy was right on top of the used cars. Oh, cringe, ugh, pushy. Yeah, look at cold calling. Yeah, we don't know. Opt out. Wow, Robin. Okay. Um, yeah, I'm not seeing any real positive things here. And and that was me. I was the most reluctant salesperson. When I was in school, if any job that was available seemed to be marketing, which was sales, etc., I was out. I did not want to even apply for it. And my the reason I'm not a financial advisor at this point is because when I applied for a job and went for my interview in downtown Kenosha, Wisconsin, during spring break of my senior year of college, I flunked the sales assessment. And the sales assessment included questions, and I still can remember it, like, how comfortable are you calling on or bringing good ideas to friends and family? How many people do you know that own their own home? It's questions like that. And I was just like, I have no idea. I'm 21 years old. I don't know what my neighbors are doing and who owes what, etc. And so the manager, who was the interviewer on this cold March night in Wisconsin, let me know that I failed the test, and therefore I was not, fit to be interviewed even. And off I went. And that is what kept me from starting in the field back then. I then did, within a few years, get into financial services, and was the head of HR and training in a bank organization and such. But what a shame! What a shame, because I was just so against it. And part of that is because all the media plays up all these things that you say, right? Used car salesman. It's ick. If you see a salesperson in any kind of TV show or movie, they're never the hero, right? They're always like the, unethical, etc. And so I was reluctant. And then in my, late 20s, I started learning about what ethical, selling can be. I started, in training and working with people, and was a keen observer of good sales best practices. And at this point, even I'd say in the last 2 years, I've probably listened to hundreds of financial advisor sales calls to be able to give feedback and look for themes of improvement, et cetera, coaching opportunities. And through all the years of doing this, though, really saw the best practices and how we can lead great sales conversations. And it's not a negative, especially if you're not being manipulative or having people do things against their will. So we're going to look at all of those things around mindset, and then some initial skills for you to have some things to apply immediately after you end today. So, whoa. So what if we had a better mindset, right, around this? How would that help you show up differently in all your sales efforts? Because, like it or not, if you're a financial advisor who wants to work with clients who pay you, and even if you don't want them to pay you, you want them to make a decision to work with you, you're in sales. Sorry to break it to you if that's not something that's comfortable, but let's talk about what authentic and genuine sales really looks like, and how you don't have to sell your soul, and how you can, as Joe Morgan, an advisor, oh, he just moved to Florida. He's from California, though. How he said, one of the things I learned was that I'm not someone different in my selling conversations than I am when I'm in my advising conversations. I can start giving value by helping them make that first decision to work with me. And then as an advisor, I'm helping them make commitments and decisions on lots of things for their best interest, but that it really starts with helping them make that first decision. So mindset is so important. And Olympic junkie here, I was a college athlete, I was track. And so I love track and swimming and gymnastics. And was fortunate 2 weeks ago to hear Gabby Thomas on CBS Morning when I was in a hotel having breakfast, and read what she has to say about what she considers to be her pre-game plan. It's all about mindset and self-talk and affirmations, and her, even writing out on her notes on her phone, I am an Olympic champion. I am the gold medal winner, like how important that is. So if we, take that mindset and apply it to, hey, when I am helping prospective clients make that important decision, I am also doing good, right? Like have our positive self-talk. You're not doing anything to them that's bad, right? Because you can help them with their financial needs if they can make that decision to do so. So mindset is so key to taking in the things I'm going to share with you and being comfortable that, hey, you're not doing anything bad. You're really there to help somebody get what they need or they want. And that is actually a very noble thing. And as I said, I believe most people need a financial advisor, if not for their whole life, adult life, for most of it, or at certain critical times, depending on the service model that you have, but that they need help often because most people don't buy this service. Like, right? Maybe this is their first time when they talk to you. Maybe it is a second or third time and they have some negative experiences from the past that you have to show them, that you're different, but that they don't know how to buy what you're offering. And so you have to be able to confidently guide and lead that conversation for them to get what they need, when they need it, and how they need it to make that confident decision. So we're going to break that down. Now, what's in it for you, right? It always comes back to, hey, what's in it for me if I step outside my comfort zone in some way, or I put the work in to develop a stronger skill set for these conversations? All the benefits that are listed on the screen here. There are so many benefits to you having the mindset and the skill set for leading good, productive sales conversations. So today, this is what was, the agenda, not the agenda, it's the objectives of what is going to be shared with you today. And so, let's look at what the goal is. And I find this, really interesting. It's like, right, the goal is to win, but not win like over somebody. It's to win with your prospective clients, your prospects. It's to win with them. And so, when we look at who wins when a decision is made to start working together and get the agreement signed and the fees, set up, etc. And it's a bigger win than you think. So it's you win because you're going to get to help people and you're going to earn revenue and income. That client or prospect wins because they've got a solution. They've got maybe a thought partner. They've got that advisor that's going to be able to help them with their finances, whatever that means. And of course, the company wins because companies need revenue to cover overhead and be able to thrive and grow. And here's one of my big things about this, the company. Many of you here are probably solo or going to be solo when you launch. And the more that you can think about your business as a separate stakeholder, the more healthy the business will be. And here's what I mean. So many advisors have big hearts and want to help people. And so it's easy to discount fees or to go way beyond the scope of service and take a lot more time in doing things for people that weren't part of the agreement. And they're like, it's okay. It's just some time. It's just okay. I like to help people. The problem with that, if it's done enough and over time, your business isn't going to get fed what it needs, which is revenue and ongoing business. And so if you think only about you feeling good or getting, the personal satisfaction out of things, it could very much have you discounting more often than you should and giving away more of your time and expertise than you should. Now, I'm a big proponent of giving away free, and you'll see, you're going to be offered a 30-minute free coaching. I'm a big proponent on that, but I can't run my business that way and have my business stay healthy as well. So we are looking for this big win, and I call it the winner's circle. And those three stakeholders are the key. So it's called that, it's not a win-win. It's not just the prospect in me or the prospect in the company. It's the prospect, the client, myself and the company. And it's called a win cubed. This is our goal in selling well. This is our goal. And I'm going to break down and tell you, how do we achieve that? Like, what are the three key ways that you're going to achieve that goal over and over again through your sales conversations? So to set the stage for that, we have to think about, what do prospects want from you, right? What do people want when they are looking for someone to work with, when they're looking for the sales experience? And, experience matters. I know client experience is a big thing in the financial industry, but that client experience actually starts with the very first interaction, whether that interaction is online with your website or it's with you with a call in or you doing an outreach. So although people don't really love cold calling, it does still work for the right situations. All right, so here's what people want. Research shows that they want a connected journey, right? They want to see the path that you're taking them down and to know that it's logical and organized, and they can start trusting that you know what you're doing because you're leading them through a good sales process. So sales process is different than sales skills, right? Sales process is that journey. Sales skills is how you are behaving and the actions you take during the sales process. They want things personalized, right? They want it to be relevant to them and know that they matter throughout. They want trust. And I think that, and not only trust in you, they want to know that anything they share with you is going to be protected. So if you have to, need them during your process to have them upload or share any confidential information or financial information, it is letting them know how that is being, safe held. If they, for them to trust you, they need to, have you exhibiting all the right behaviors and actions as well. And one of the things that's interesting to me, research shows that although people overall have a high mistrust of a financial planner, like you guys probably all have heard that. If you say I'm a financial advisor, I'm a financial planner, it's typically not the same exact words as what you put down for sales, but actually it's really close. And so they also want to, so you would think that they would be negative about you, but that actually when people are ready to talk to you, they have a high hope that they can trust you. Like they're looking for reasons to trust you, but then of course also very aware of untrustworthy behaviors. And so it's an interesting dynamic, I think, that they want to trust you. And one of the things you need to deliver is to be trustworthy. And that is being confident, having a good process to follow, and leading them in a very confident way through that information exchange necessary for them to make a decision. They are also looking for a great experience. And that's the tricky part that I'm not going to cover today, but I have a recorded replay if anyone wants to see it, is how do you give that each person a great experience while following processes that you need for efficiency, but still adapting it for the people and getting things the way they need. And of course, they're looking for a solution to something. So whether they're looking to have a problem addressed, they're looking for an opportunity to be captured. They see that maybe something could be better, even though it's not a problem. And they have wants and needs. So problems, opportunities, wants, and needs. Whatever they have there, they're looking for something to be addressed, or they wouldn't be talking to you, because most people do not, as a side, gig, go out and pretend to be prospective clients and go through all the fun of sales conversations. So this is what they want, and this is how you can deliver it. So the overall goal is that winner's circle. The first thing to accomplish that is to show up collaboratively. So collaboration is a big term these days. It's funny, when I started using it 16 years ago, when I really saw that consultative selling was good, I actually taught it for years, but that I didn't think it was comprehensive enough. And as we've evolved and people have more knowledge, because they can get it on the internet, whether it's good knowledge or not, information, they can get it. And they have their own experiences and et cetera, especially about themselves. They know themselves better than you do. That we, instead of showing up as we're a consultant that gets to tell you, everything, we have to collaborate. And that means we have to work with them, and we have to honor and respect what they know, what their experiences have been, what their experiences they're looking for are, and align with that. And so collaborative selling is the approach that I definitely share. And it's simply working with your prospect to help them, support them, guide them to do, which is take an action, or decide, make a decision about something. So depending on your sales process, that decision might be sign the agreement, let's get started. The decision might be schedule a second meeting and bring your spouse or partner. The action might be submit some additional information so I can, whatever it is, create a sample plan if that's part of your process, etc. But that's what we're helping them doing, and we're doing it, with them. So it's leading them through their decision process and using your conversations as the most important tool you have so that they're confident in making that decision. So it's interesting, when we talk about tools these days, people usually think about apps or technology in some way, and that, your tool is how you communicate and how you lead a conversation. You have ownership over that more so than you do about technology breakdowns and things like that. So this is what we are doing. And so we need to look, and I just had a conversation with an advisor this morning who said, I want to move some language on my website away from talking about meetings. He works with highly successful IT professionals, and he said the last thing those people ever want to do is have another meeting, because they're meeting out at work. And so we need to have conversations and not meetings. And so a conversation is a two-way flow of communication. And it means that we need to learn. We also need to earn the right for them to want to learn about us, about what we can do, about the outcomes, about process, etc. And so that's the key here, is that a conversation is an information exchange. And we have to seek to understand first so that we earn the right for them to care about whatever we share with them. And I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. So in collaborative selling, I had mentioned, it's got to be their experience has to matter, and how people need information can be very different. The timing of it, the delivery of it, the level of detail of it, etc. So I call it that we need to right size, meaning we need to adjust during the conversation based on their preferences and needs. So we need to right size the information that we're sharing, right? And we can ask people, do you like a lot of detail on this, or do you prefer a high level overview? We can ask people like what they prefer, and they'll tell you. I was given a challenge about a month ago. So a document that I use for larger engagements is about 11 pages long. And when I asked the question, like, how much detail do you need? The woman said, it shouldn't be more than 2 pages. Now, that was a challenge. And it was actually an exciting challenge. And I got it down to a 2-page overview. And I had a decision the next day. And it was a big opportunity with multiple decision makers. And I'm like, wow, sometimes simplicity is the way to go here. But she was very clear on what they wanted and how they wanted to see the information. Other people are like, no, I want to understand all the details. And so maybe you don't care about that and you like to give a big overview or tell a story or give an analogy, but they might want the details. So we need to right size the information that we're sharing. We also need to right size the amount of time that we're spending together and the time that we're requesting of them. So, some people have all the time in the world based on their life stage, and, they're happy spending lots of time in conversation, in getting together in person, etc. Other people are like, quick, quick, quick. And I know that there is a firm that I've worked with. They have very time starved clients, and they have made their sales process the most efficient process I have ever seen. But it includes a bunch of work for the prospect before the meeting. There's videos that they are expected to watch. And it's one of the first questions they're asked is, were you able to watch the videos? Because if they weren't, then there's no way that they can follow the process, because those people don't have the information for that. But anyway, they found a way to make their process very efficient, aligned with who they work with. So we got to adjust time, the amount of time we spend with people, the amount of time we let people chit chat. I call it smart talk, not small talk, and such. And we also need to right size our messaging. So messaging is about the actual words that you're using, right? So some people like the thinking words, factual, analytical, words. Other people are more comfortable using feeling, emotional words. And if you listen to them, you're going to hear what their preference is. They're going to ask you, well, what do you think about this? Or they're going to say, well, I think, or I feel. If you have them complete any questions in advance, you can look for clues in there. And people will say, like, we think or we feel like, and that means, what, that's probably how you should be explaining things to them as well, because they're going to be able to understand that message. Some people also want outcome discussion. Some people want process discussion. So all things that you can ask them about or pay attention to and adjust to. And then another thing in collaborative selling that you right size is the actual relationship, the level of personal connection. So some people they love if you have your personal story on your website. Other people would just rather see like your resume or your LinkedIn profile. And some people want to know what drives you to be in this business and what's your personal life look like and all that. And others are like, what, a relationship for advisory, once they work with you, of course, you get to know them really well. But for the sales part of it, they might not need to know you personally. They want to know, do you have the credentials, the expertise? Do you work with people like me? Can you help me? I mean, they're much more factual, analytical around the relationship. Once you are working with them, you might develop more of a level of personal, but maybe not. So it's something that needs to be right sized. If you are a big huggy, emotive person, that's great. But if you are meeting some analytical, more, reserved people, and you go in for a hug, that might not work out well for you. So anyway, I had a funny discussion with a group last week when we were training about that. And besides banking, my other pre-business career was I worked for Brio Toy Company, a high-end educational toys. And we sold our toys to educational toy shops, which are typically teachers, former teachers. And so one of the criteria we had as we hired salespeople was they had to be comfortable hugging our customers, because our customers were huggers. And if they didn't like that, they would be considered, too standoffish. So in collaboration, these are the things that we need to be paying attention to and ready to adjust to make sure that we're providing them, again, the experience that's going to help them feel comfortable and confident in taking that next step. I've already alluded to this, but I want to be clear on this. We need to have conversations, not pitches or presentations. So I still hear people talk about, well, I'm going to be pitching a prospect this, or I'm working on my value pitch. I just say be careful with that word, because, pitching typically means having something thrown, right? Baseball, throwing at high speed. And the recipient of this information that's thrown has choices, right? They could, take a hit with it. They could absorb it. They could maybe bat it back at you with challenging questions and concerns, or they could duck and just let it fly by them. And so we want to be careful that we're focused on this two-way flow of information and a conversation, not a pitch or presentation. All right, that's the first thing. Collaboration, one of the ways to achieve that win cubed. The second way that you can do it is being with it focused. A new acronym for most of you, and most acronyms sound funny when you're saying them, but it's what's in it for them. What's in it for them with it. And if you do everything with a what's in it for them focus, your experience for them is going to be better for them, and it's going to be easier for them, which makes it easier for you. So everything from how you put together documents, to the process you follow, to the way you share information, the way they schedule meetings, if it's focused on what's in it for them, it's always going to give them the experience, give them a better experience than if you're focused on, well, for my process, I make decisions, right away. So a one conversation meeting, one conversation sales process, they should have everything they need to make a decision. And then we're confused. Why didn't they make a decision? Why are they ghosting me? Should I follow up or should I not follow up? And it doesn't matter what your preferences are. It matters who are you serving again. So knowing your avatar, your ideal client profile is so important pre even working with them. So not only can you attract them, but then you can provide the right journey and process for them to get what they need, when they need it, how they need it, as I've said. So with it focused. So when you think about what do people need to know to have hope and be confident in you helping them, and what they need to know is what's in it for them, right? So everything. And so here's my strong statement on this. If you find yourself sharing information with a prospect or even one of your existing clients, all of this applies to clients too, and you can't directly connect that information to why it matters to them, you probably haven't earned the right to say it, and you shouldn't say it. You should probably ask a question or two to make sure that it is relevant, et cetera, for them. So, it can sound like, well, one of the things we do is we're focused, we'll focus on a comprehensive financial plan for you. Think, so what? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to them? And be able to answer that. The reason for that is you are going to be able to, and then you have to fill in that benefit and that value to them. If you're talking about, your story, why did I decide to work with equity comp people, or why am I working with, widows in retirement? You need to be able to connect that back to them. Anything that you talk about, you need to be able to connect back to them. And if you can't, it's not even that, well, it is, you haven't earned the right, but more importantly, they may not care or listen at the level necessary to absorb that information and its impact. And one of the things that I see play out very much in the fee-only community is that we assume people understand that fee-only and fiduciary are words that people have value, give value to. And most people don't really know, right? Most people, especially if they've never worked with a financial service person before, or they have, but they've worked with, a different type of model, they don't inherently understand the value to that. So this is sometimes where our nomenclature, our acronyms, our understanding of financial topics can get in the way of them getting what they need, because we share things and maybe have an assumption that they get the value, that, this is important. Like, hey, I'm a fiduciary. And I always call those the F words. So, so what? Like, people don't know. We have to make that connection for them, and whatever that is, or I'm flat fee. Well, what does that mean to them? So if you can connect everything, even look at your website language. On your website, right? Is it about you, or is it about you and the impact on them? It's a little nuanced, but it makes a big difference. So, we work with blah, 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 blah criteria, but then why and what's the value to them, because that's your focus, like, or that's your expertise, or, that's, your life's work. Help them see what it means to them, and they're going to inherently see that there's value to it, which is going to save you a whole lot of problems later in your sales conversation. All right. And now the third way of achieving the win cubed is about being genuine. And I think this is such an interesting one. If you're starting out your own firm, often people will like, oh, I used to work for somebody and, I'm trying to do everything like they did it. Or if you're within a firm and now going to be taking on responsibilities for business development and sales, the founder might say, just sit in on some meetings and watch what I do. And I would say that's okay if you're them, but nobody is exactly someone else. So what you need to do, and I think this is what's so great about the XYPN community, right, is all the sharing of best practices. So taking the best practices that are shared with you from so many advisors that have gone before, but then you have to adapt them to make them yours. So I'm very much in tune with like the VIP Facebook group, and all the questions that are posted out on there. And so many times, people are like, oh, here's exactly what I say. Here's exactly what I do. And that's great. But then you've got to take that and say, okay, is this also going to work for who I'm talking to? Does this feel natural when I'm saying it? Are the words going to come out of my mouth like they're mine? Or is it going to feel like I'm following a script of somebody else's? Because that difference of showing up with somebody else's language, somebody else's, process, etc., can cause a trust question in that person. Because if it doesn't feel like it's authentic or genuine to you, it creates some kind of, I'm not sure. And the prospects might not even be able to say what doesn't feel comfortable about it, but they know something. And I've heard of, because I've also interviewed clients for feedback. They're just like, something was off. They just know that it isn't your authentic you. So being genuine means you have to show up, follow good process, lead them, make sure it's focused on what's in it for them, make it collaborative, but you still have to show up as you. And bring your personality into it, bring your story into it when you've earned the right to do so, because it is a people business. And so it's funny, I don't know if you guys ever heard about like, are you B2B or B2C sales? So like, right, are you a business selling to another business? Are you a business selling to a consumer? And I'm like, actually, we're all in P2P work. We're in person to person, because no matter what somebody, even if they're a business person, they still are a person underneath it. And that person is going to be who needs an experience that is relevant and trusting for them. And they're the ones that are going to be making the decision, right? The business doesn't make a decision, people make the decision. So we got to show up as ourselves. And I'm trying to think of a good example recently. So I'm working with a firm as a father, and now the son is very involved. The father wants to, start working less and less. And they are very, very different, very, very different style wise. Just even the way they just everything about their style is different. Let's put it that way. Neither is, good or bad. It's just different. And so, of course, dad is thinking, Junior can just do what he does, but he can't. Like, it would come off as so fake. So, the Junior needed to look and say, okay, my dad is the biggest networker out there talking to everybody. I'm introverted. Like, that's not going to be something comfortable to me. And if I show up, I'm not the life of the party. I'm not as, gregarious and a storyteller like my dad is. And so people are always like, I obviously hit text after the mother, whatever it is, it doesn't resonate. So Junior had to find, okay, what are the activities that are comfortable for him that fit his style, because that's how he's going to have to show up in the community, not in being the, head of all these committees. It's not him. That's his dad. So that's a good example of he can't be his dad, right? He can't be his dad. So those are the three ways for the winner circle, but there's still more. And so, when we look at this again, and we're looking at this conversation, so a conversation that's collaborative, a two-way flow of information, a conversation that even though it's a two-way flow, we have the mindset of making sure everything is focused on what's in it for them so they can make easier connections to value and information. And though we're still showing up as ourselves as that guide, leader, expert in our financial knowledge. And so we can look at this and then, take a systematic approach to the conversation. So we've been having conversations since we were two, but how do you look at the framework and the flow to productive, systematic conversations, not making them a script, but having more a framework or an outline that has a lot of maneuverability within it to make all those right sizing adjustments I brought up earlier. And so when we talk about the WIFT, right, WIIFT, what's in it for them, we can also use that same series of letters acronym, and put it into a conversation flow, a 5-step system to our sales conversations. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. This again, if there's something, if you want, I have, recorded replays that goes more into the details on this. And of course, that's what our training is about and the book will be about. So we take it and we put it into this visual aid, right? The middle of it is this WIFT. The foundation is your preparation. If you want to be better at your sales outcomes, have higher conversion rates, one of the easiest things, but hardest to make sure you're disciplined, is preparing to lead a full conversation, not just preparing for data, preparing for the just questions you're going to ask, or preparing for that presentation, or how you're going to tell your story. It's preparing to lead a conversation from the start to the final words of the conversation. And by outlining that, you increase your probability of the desired outcome by 17 to 25%. We did a control study with a larger firm with that. And those that consistently prepared for the conversation, not just parts of it, had better outcomes consistently. Proof is, I call it proof is the roof over the whole conversation, because everything that they're experiencing is a proof point on whether you're credible, trustworthy, genuine, collaborative, etc. Everything you do or don't do, everything you say or don't say, anything you provide or don't provide, all becomes a proof point. And so the whole, experience is affected by what's happening in what they're many times subconsciously taking in as proof points from what you're doing and saying. So preparation, like I said, it's the number one thing, preparing to lead a good conversation and prove. So the conversation flow, I'm going to do this very quickly because we're going to finish this part up in about the next 6 minutes, and then we'll have open Q&A. Don't forget to use the chat and start from what I've already said, what are questions coming to mind, and then we'll be able to tackle some of those. All right, so the conversation flow starts like this. It starts with await, meaning that's preparation, outlining the conversation, and then immediately before engaging, It is getting your mindset ready to lead that conversation. So it's eliminating distractions, breaking preoccupation, and starting to think, okay, everything is what's it about, what's in it for them. By doing that in advance, you're now ready to initiate a conversation where you're ready. Because even if someone has a scheduled time to talk with you, they're not just sitting there with nothing on their mind or in their hands. We have to start that conversation and earn the right to move forward in a two-way flow of communication. So in starting a conversation, we need to get to a shared objective, not agenda. Agenda is how you accomplish an objective. We got to get to clarity on what is the outcome that we're both agreeing to for this conversation. Is it a decision? I think one of the easiest things to say is that we'll identify the next best possible step for you, right? So you're not, you take it off that, a decision isn't maybe what we're going to be looking for today, but we're going to, together identify the next best possible step based on what we learn during this conversation. So we're getting to a shared objective. We are confirming time and getting specific on that so we know how to manage the time. And we're also connecting with them as an individual versus an agenda item. So I call those connection questions. So that's initiating a productive conversation. We're starting from the beginning to show them that we're in it together, not I'm running this meeting, here's our agenda, and let's get into our questions. What brought you here today? Like that does that work? Yes, it works, but you know what? It's not setting up collaboration. It's setting up that I'm running a meeting and you're my subject. And that might sound extreme, but that's how it can come off. Then, of course, if we initiate well, we then earn the right to do the information gathering, the investigation. And this is where asking good questions is more important than asking lots of questions. This is where we have to get beyond asking just about data and details, like, oh, so how much do you guys earn? What are your assets? We need all that information, but I think there's better ways of collecting that. And your precious time in conversation should help identify their story. What is going on today? What is going to happen in the future that they know or they're planning for or they're afraid of? What is it that they have set as goals and they want to happen in tomorrow? So today, tomorrow. And then we have to discuss the impact and have them identify what's the impact. So with what's going on today, is there stress? Is there time pressure? Is there excitement because they see this big sudden money event coming? Whatever it is, what's the impact of what's going on today? Emotions, motivators, sense of urgency, et cetera, come out of that. Then we also need to explore, okay, so for tomorrow, what's the impact of that? Are there risks that they're concerned about? Are there rewards that they're looking forward to? So I call it the 4-point story: today, tomorrow, risk and reward. And risk and reward are impact. Those are great secondary and tertiary questions after an anchor question. So like even asking a question, I worked with one of my groups today, and they were working on the investigate, and they were talking about how do you get someone telling you about their previous experiences with other advisors, with finances, et cetera, so that you can understand what level of knowledge do they have, what level of experience, where are they maybe in searching for help, and do they have any landmines from past experiences that are negative that you need to be aware of? And we were brainstorming the questions, and and it was like, hey, you have to start with just a simple. So if you tell me about your experience in working with an advisor in the past, or a professional with your finances in the past. You start out broad. Depending on what they tell you, you might have to ask follow-on questions. What did you like about that? Or what didn't work for you? Those are the impact. When you have that story, that's where then you can connect value. So we get their story, and then we move to facilitate. Facilitate means to make it easy. And in this case, we're making it easy for them to get the information they need to feel comfortable about what you would do, the value of it, the fees, your background, anything they need about moving forward. So we're facilitating. Now, it is more sharing of information than collecting, but even in the sharing, we need to ask. So we can talk about, well, here's the process that we would use But then we have to say, how does that sound to you? Or how does that match up with what you've been doing in the past? We need to keep getting their feedback because those opinions, thoughts, and feelings along the way are easier to address or adjust to before they become an objection when you're trying to ask a decision at the end. And there was one more thing I want to say about facilitate. This is again where if you're talking about what you do and how you do it and you can't make it relevant to, and this is why it matters to you, you haven't earned that right yet, and you need to ask some more questions. And then from facilitate, we do not close sales. What we do is consolidate conversations. And that means bringing all the parts together. From everything we discussed today, I'm confident that I can, help you with that clarity for your retirement plan, making sure that somebody is here for your spouse should something happen to you. We bring them back to that value. What are your thoughts at this time about what we discussed? That's a readiness question, not a decision. Based on that, we might uncover some concerns that we can work through. And that's what I'm going to talk about in the session, the live session in Minneapolis, is working through concerns and objections. And then after that, then we get very, and we ask them for something specific. Can we schedule the next conversation? We're going to need 45 minutes with your spouse. Do you have your calendar available? Like, we get specific. Or from everything you said, it sounds like you're positive too. Should we initiate the paperwork for the agreement? But we're getting clear. And people often don't ask those questions because we're making assumptions either based on negative perception or positive. And that's a shame, because the final thing you should do in any sales conversation is get specific on next steps. Like, this is one of the big gaps as I listen to conversations. It is who is doing what, by when, and how. Okay, so we're going to meet again. You're going to talk to your spouse. All right, so here's the two options of time. You're going to email me or you're going to text me. Like, you get really specific. So now there's not more of those mini agreement decisions to make afterward. You're helping them make those decisions then. And now they just have to execute. It makes your follow-up easier. It makes less chance of ghosting or stalling. So that is how we take that genuine collaborative with it focus center of Win Cubed and turn it into leading a good conversation. All right. So who needs to hear from you? When you think about this, who needs you to initiate conversations? Is it existing clients? Is it one-time clients, stalled prospects, dark or dormant leads? Like, your COIs? You can use all this information for developing those relationships. But, think about, what do they care about? What do they want to talk about? And outline your conversation with those. Use preparation, as I said, to add value in your follow-ups. And then, you can give them value in all different ways. It doesn't have to be creating a financial sample plan for them. It doesn't have to be answering the first 3 questions that they wanted, because sometimes when you do those things, you take off the pressure point and now they're in no hurry to make a decision. So I say, be careful a little bit with that. All right. So there is more. If we, think about this, what's your readiness in putting this into play, right? Are you like, hey, this is great, I'm going to take some of these ideas and run with it? Is it, I'm not sure this will work for me. It doesn't feel comfortable. It feels, fake, or, I already got this dialed in. This was elementary, or, somewhere in between. So I offered this 30-minute strategy conversation, and Sarah, can you put that URL? Actually, I can copy it and put it in the, I'll put it in the chat box before we end. But it's 3 minutes of free coaching. It is not a disguised sales pitch. You submit some information in advance so I know what topic we're working on. And it is 30 minutes of me helping you with actionable strategies. You get a summary the next day or two that you can act on. And hopefully that'll set you in the right direction. If you then do want to talk about services, we schedule that as something different. This is kept as a pure coaching conversation for you. If you're going to be in Minneapolis, come, visit with me before or after sessions, approach me. I'll have a table there in the exhibit hall, etc. So, people love their 30 minutes. So, like, we do feedback after the end of it, and people are like, wow, like, I really had, at least one, but typically usually have 3 or 4 specific actions they can take. So for you, think about one thing from today that you're going to do. Like, what is one thing you can take from all that I shared and put it into play as soon as possible? All right, so the winner's circle is the goal. Preparation increases your probability of desired outcome. So that's a tongue twister. If anyone can come up and say that to me in Minneapolis, I'll give you a $10 gift card. You might have to remind me I said that because it's 2 months from now and my brain is getting older. But if you can remember this, take a screenshot, picture, whatever, you get a $10 gift card. Here's another feedback about the sales strategy conversation. And then I am doing a pre-con. So it's going to take what I talked about today. We're going to spend 5 hours working on practice, giving you more outline, giving you the tools for outlining the conversation, and having a lot of fun while we're getting ready for you in that. So prepare and practice is what my suggestion is for being more effective in your conversion conversations. And then here's my final thought. So questions. So thank you for attending. This works, right? Thousands of advisors. It works in selling situations. It works with your clients because you're often trying to get your clients to make commitments and take action on things as well. So it works in your conversations. All right, Sarah, do we have any questions?
We do. But first off, this was just so fantastic. What's in it for them? That was something that was used when I first started at XYPN 5 years ago. It was just all of our strategies. So
I know you guys adopted it, like, because you all went through the training. Yeah, you all adopted it. It was great. Yeah.
Well, we do have some questions. First, is your October 2024 book release, is that a new book or an update to Conversations That Sell?
It's both. So it follows the same framework, but it's all financial advisor. There's so many new things that I've learned over the last 10 years that are incorporated into it.
Okay. And you mentioned a video earlier in your presentation about the great experience in being a prospect. Do you know how to get access to that? Or where would members go to get access to that?
So send me an email, nancy@salesproinsider.com. Remind me of what you want, and we'll send you the link.
Cool. Okay. Can you talk more about your study that showed preparation produced a 17% success rate? What specific preparation and what was that measure of success?
Okay. So the measure of success was the desired outcome. They had metrics from before and afterward. It was a large financial in Wisconsin. And the preparation was using what I call the quick prep tool. It's an outline of the conversation that's filled out in advance. And then it's got some prompts for research if it's a first conversation. So one group in the same department committed to completing one for every single opportunity, and one group, like, we just let them do what they were normally doing, which was not doing that very often. And in that time, the group that did the preparation, it was an average of 17 to 25%. Some people it was less, but some people had like 60%, increases in the desired outcome and, advancing their sales opportunities. It was very exciting. It's a habit and it's a discipline. And there's a little bit of skill to it, but it's mostly a habit and discipline to do that.
Okay, great. We are running up on time, but a couple
Yeah.
more questions. Would you please talk more about the sales process / system and what that looks like? Is there a simple template or is it something that needs to be adapted based on the clients you work with?
Yeah, so the sales process is like how many meetings that you have and how does that look before, during, and after meetings, what's being provided to them, what's happening during the meeting or the conversation, what's the follow-up afterward. So to me, that's a process. I've seen processes that work from one meeting to 5 meetings. So it very much needs to be geared toward who you're working with, and aligned that way. So I would say the most typical is a 2-meeting process. I
And
know I'm answering fast because of time. So
yes. And then just the last couple ones. Will folks be able to get a copy of the slides used today?
oh, sure. Send me a note, Nancy@salesproinsider.com. I'm sorry.
Cool.
My preparation obviously lacked for some of these questions. I apologize.
I love being able to just talk.
Hey, listen, I am not perfect at all of this. I am still constantly working on mastering it all. Because you get
Yes,
complacent, you get busy, you skip stuff. So my apologies.
no problem. And what is the title of your book coming out?
Conversations that sell for financial advisors. Should
Awesome.
be out the first week of October. Having some formatting issues right now with it. So
Mm,
working on
I
that.
feel it. I feel that
Yeah.
it's going to be out the first week. All
All
right. Well,
right.
thank you all for being here. We are at time. Just reminder, if you are interested in scheduling a call with XYPN, then you can do so on our website. There is the deal for registering for XYPN Live, $100 off. It's deal 100, and I will drop a link here. And then there is a feedback survey once you are done with this webinar and exit out. So we would love to hear your feedback and hear more about what other topics that you have that you want to hear about. But Nancy, thank you so much for your time. It was a
Welcome.
pleasure to listen to you. I hope that you have a great rest of your day,
Thank
everybody.
you. All right. Bye, everyone. Take care. Much success to you.
Bye.